Many places the floodwaters are receding, but many communities are still inundated. Throughout Puerto Rico, there is no power, no communication, and no idea how long it will take to recover.
We made our way to Puerto Rico today, a day-long journey aboard a military transport. Air National Guard has an air bridge going now, a massive relief operation. There is devastation everywhere. It is like a curtain is slowly being lifted on this disaster, revealing more and more of the suffering and the dire straits on this island. Power is still largely out. That means banks and hospitals and the things that people depend on, they can't get to unless there are generators working. And in those cases, there are long lines.
They bring all they can carry, wading through rushing water, holding onto a dead power cable, now an impromptu lifeline. A community in Morovis, Puerto Rico, cut off when Hurricane Maria washed this bridge away. This woman tells us everything on the other side is devastated. The need here is massive. Rural parts of the island ravaged, including the mountain town of Utuado.
I'm Tammy Leitner. We've been driving from community to community where people are desperate for water. Here outside Utuado, they've jerry-rigged a PVC pipe to get river water because there's no drinking water anywhere on the island.
The entire country is without electricity, 100% of it. We don't have any water in most of San Juan. I'm just concerned that we may not get to everybody in time.
There's always a chaotic scene when the sun goes down here in San Juan, Puerto Rico, all the way until the sun comes up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This right here, this is a gas line. It stretches for blocks. Over here, there's another gas line at a gas station. That gas station just ran out of gas, and so now they're telling people they need to go home. The police have been going up and down the street telling people that they are now past curfew.
The power lines over there that are starting to be tilted. Sorry?
Those are power lines that are going back up?
Those power lines are tilted. We're going to see some of the transmission lines that were just essentially collapsed once we go through the northern part of Puerto Rico.
Less than that. ETA? About 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
In some remote parts of Puerto Rico, calls for help are written on rooftops. Families desperate in the long wait for aid. Roads obliterated by mudslides and flooding.
They might be stuck in an area where they just can't leave.
The Puerto Rico National Guard Black Hawk helicopters getting aid to remote areas like San Sebastian, where 8-year-old Niati says her family needs supplies. She's worried about her grandparents she hasn't heard from in days.
I hope you are fine, and I love you.
Suffer any damage?
Structurally it did. I don't know if functionally it did, but structurally it's still very, very strong. It's important. It's a great asset. Many of the world's foremost astrophysicists come over here to, listen to the stars, and luckily it doesn't seem to have that much damage.
So we just landed this helicopter here, this Black Hawk helicopter with the Puerto Rican National Guard, and it delivered aid. There's a lot of people in this area that have been completely cut off. In fact, just a little while ago, we were talking to a woman named Veronica over there, and she said that she lost her entire home.
I lost my house, but I was staying outside my house, so my clothes and my shoes and everything was in another house.
She owns a graphic design company, and she says it's going to be probably 6 months, possibly a year before they can reopen.
Yeah, we don't have electricity, we don't have communication, we don't have phone line, we don't have anything. So my business, especially my business, depends on that. So I know I won't be working in a long time.
She doesn't know how she's going to be able to provide for her son, who's 2. So that's just one of the stories here in these hard to reach areas, but you can see how mountainous this terrain is. As we were flying in, we saw a lot of the roads in really, really bad shape. So this is the challenge in getting aid to the remote areas of Puerto Rico.
This is the area where the eye of the storm hit. roofs blown off, lives torn apart. When Maria roared on shore, Puerto Rico's southeast corner endured the first impact.
This is the town, yeah.
In the coastal town of Maunabo, Norma Rosada lost the roof off her home and her small business blew away entirely.
Many of us, we don't have a lot of money. That'll take us a long time to recover from the things that we lost.
Now the hunt is on here for the basics. This woman snagging water from the side of a mountain. Everything is destroyed, she says. With mangled power lines everywhere and eye-popping lines at gas stations, people here feel paralyzed and disconnected. And this woman hadn't been able to reach her family in Indianapolis. When offered a satellite phone, she tells them she's all right, but her 95-year-old grandfather passed away during the storm.
It is sad to see the
Outside San Juan, Pastor Otoniel Font runs this massive church that his father built and Maria ripped apart.
And see it just destroyed in just a few hours is really, sad, but we are a church of hope, so we are going to rebuild.
So we just came across this fire here in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That's a Walgreens. The fire department says that it looks like somebody made their way inside, lit a fire, was looting the store. So this is one of the instances of looting and vandalism that we're seeing here as frustrations grow. The fire department here, they had to save this bank. So what they did was they actually used some of their pumper trucks, and there's some flooding water over here. They used the flooding water to fight this fire because they are running very low on water. They're conserving everything they have. This area does not have power, does not have water, and it's just some of the conditions that these first responders find themselves in.
From the deck of the USS Kearsarge, teams have been leaving by air and sea.
The Marines are here, Marines are landing.
Destination, Puerto Rico's hard-hit East Coast.
These Marines are getting off the LCU, that's a landing craft unit, and their mission today is to get on shore and help clear some roads.
Some crew from the Kearsarge have assisted in all 3 hurricanes. Along the way, Marines see devastation and desperation at gas lines.
To be honest with you, we're just stopgaps.
9966 all the way.
A quick consult with a local utility company about live power lines. Then backbreaking work for Marines and Navy Seabees.
About 3 miles up this road, there's an FAA tower that's crucial to aviation and bringing relief to the island, but it's running on generator.
Chainsawing against time.
It's got 3 days to 6 days worth of fuel in that generator, and so the goal is to get that road open before the generator runs out of fuel.
Distances measured in feet.
100 feet, probably about maybe half hour.
Around midday, Marine reinforcements arrive.
Working kind of 12-hour shifts. With chainsaws, we should be able to get the road open in time.
Hard work mixed with hope for an island that will need plenty of both.
You lose everything. You lose everything. You have to start from zero.
And in Toa Baja, 30 miles west of San Juan, Crystal Afanador is desperate. The water flooded her entire first floor, and she says the local shelter has run out of food.
We need gas, food, I don't know. Someone to help us.
The town's mayor tells us at least 8 people drowned here, and authorities have rescued 4,000 to 5,000 trapped by floodwaters. Without working cell phones, he's coordinating with rescue crews from Florida and Virginia by word of mouth.
It's chaos. It's chaos.
New video released by the U.S. Coast Guard shows a woman and 2 children being hoisted to safety after they were stranded on a capsized boat off the coast. Power is out to the entire island, and 95% of cell service is down. The government has now hired more than 50 small contractors to help get things up and running. Electrical crews clearing debris, but not fixing lines yet because they say they can't even communicate with headquarters.
It's a new experience for us. I'm working in George, I'm working in Google, and I never see something like this one.
You've worked many hurricanes before, but you've never seen something like this.
I never see it.
Rosa Avilas rode out the storm in Old San Juan while a building in this historic neighborhood crumbled next to her.
And I said to myself and to my son, we have to leave the house. This is going to collapse.
In northwest Puerto Rico, engineers inspecting the Oaxaca Dam after finding a crack in it. If it bursts, authorities warn of life-threatening flooding. Today, we rode along with a FEMA search and rescue team from South Florida as it made its way to the central part of the island. Greg Barhost is a firefighter from Miami. He's worked hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and now Maria.
So we just spent the last hour trying to drive around and find out where to go and what needs done. And it seems like because of lack of communication, we're coming up with a dead end.
As they meet local officials for the first time, they're finding a similar story over and over again. No cell service and no communication is hampering rescue efforts.
No contact.
Alfredo Delgado is a Morovis police officer. The hurricane destroyed his home, too.
It's pretty hard because I have to do two jobs at the same time. You know, I have to work with the people that needs us, and I also have to work with my own needs, you know.
Throughout the island, the hunt for fuel is growing more dire.
These are people that come from miles away. Cars without gas. Very tough, very tough.
As these search and rescue teams clear the way for the island's long recovery, one mission at a time.
A hug 2 weeks in the making. The entire family together again. Gabriel's sister and husband pack up a few things, his parents choosing to stay behind.
Saying that she has arthritis in her left leg and can't make the walk down.
And we're going to be separated for, I know it's just going to be temporary, you know, but it hurts me to see that my little granddaughter's not going to be with me for a while.
The reunion cut short, another storm making the dangerous journey down the mountain more treacherous.
Thousands of shipping containers, many filled with supplies, sit at San Juan's main port, a distribution bottleneck stifling the relief effort.
It is extremely heartbreaking.
Jose Ayala with shipping company Crowley Maritime says it doesn't make a difference that today the Trump administration temporarily waived the Jones Act, a nearly century-old federal law that requires only American ships carry goods between U.S. ports. At the cruise port, we saw mounting frustration. Thousands of Hurricane Maria evacuees standing in sweltering heat to board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship en route to the U.S. Virgin Islands, then Florida.
We don't have water, like nothing.
Amy Timpanaro from New Jersey is anxious to get on this ship after a harrowing week and several canceled flights.
You literally can't get out. It's desperation. People just start getting antsy and crazy, and you literally cannot get off this island.
Gabe is at the port right now. Gabe, let me give folks a peek behind the curtain. We've had great difficulty communicating with you and our other teams on the ground there, and you've got sophisticated equipment. Tell me this, are the relief workers facing the same issues with communications?
Lester, you don't realize how essential phone service is until it's wiped out. We've spoken with FEMA search and rescue crews that tell us they've had such a tough time communicating with local officials. We've spoken with power crews who say they're not even fixing lines yet, just clearing debris because they can't communicate with headquarters. There are plenty of supplies here. Just look behind me. But until phone service improves, until people can communicate, this recovery is at a virtual standstill.
All right,
Lester.
Gabe Gutierrez, who we should note, Gabe and his team have been there since before that hurricane struck.
Vieques, just 8 miles off the eastern coast of Puerto Rico, is still desperate for aid.
We flew in on a marine chopper filled with food, water, and medical supplies. This is one of many trips they'll be making to this island.
Food is dwindling, water is scarce, there is no fuel. Nathan Perrins has flown 45 people off the island.
A lot of people want to get off.
Rebecca Anderson has lived here for 9 years.
We want to stay, but there's no work here for us. We work in tourism, and there's not going to be any tourism for a while. It's heartbreaking.
One family getting out. So many others wait at the airport, desperate for news.
We need fuel, we need water.
FEMA Director Joe Giroux on the ground for the first time.
The situation naturally is bad.
Fear setting in, the future unknown.
We are dying here. And I cannot fathom the thought that the greatest nation in the world cannot figure out the logistics for a small island of 100 miles by 35 miles long. So I am asking the President of the United States to make sure somebody is in charge that is up to the task of saving lives. If anybody out there is listening to us, we are dying, and you are killing us with the inefficiency and the bureaucracy. We will make it with or without you. Because what stands behind me is all due to the generosity of other people. Again, this is what we got last night. 4 pallets of water, 3 pallets of meals, and 12 pallets of infant food, which I gave them to Comerío, where people are drinking off a creek. So I am done being polite. I am done being politically correct. I am mad as hell. So I am asking the members of the press to send a mayday call all over the world. We are dying here. And if we don't stop, and if we don't get the food and the water into people's hands, what we are going to see is something close to a genocide.
Finally, from Puerto Rico, this is an island with a long way to go in its road to recovery. Leaving the airport, the signs of despair were apparent everywhere. Even people just parking around a lone working cell tower to try to get a message out. Or people just a short distance from us gathered in a long line for a restaurant able to serve food. We will continue to cover this story and update you as Puerto Rico recovers, as we said, home to almost 3.5 million Americans.